Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed Tier 5 and that the RNG Gods treated you well. As most of you know, Blizzard released a PTR for Phase 3 that included the Mount Hydril and Black Temple raid. Now, before you guys get all excited for Mount Hydril... Oh my god! Mount Hydril's out! Alright, just kidding. We all know how lame Mount Hydril is, right? And nobody even cares about the raid. Take it out of the game, Blizzard, please. We don't want it. Sorry about that. PTSD when it comes to Mount Hydril. Okay, all memes aside, I'll be doing this for Mount Hydril as well as soon as the Black Temple ones are done, okay? In the meantime, if you can't wait for the rest of the series, above here is the Black Temple and Mount Hydril raid guide I made about a year ago from private servers where the mechanics are pretty much the same, but this server is going to be, the Blizzard server is going to be a lot easier. It'll give you a good little gist of it until I get some updated ones as soon as this new one comes out. Now, on to what matters. Black Temple. The raid that many of you thought was the last raid in TBC. Spoiler alert, it's not. However, many would say that this is their favorite raid, myself included, full of insane, dope-looking bosses. The raid itself is pretty easy right now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, with the only hiccups coming from the fact that most of the raid had no idea what was going on. Now, of course, this is just the beginning, and Blizzard has already closed the PTR so they can tune it for us, and you know, all we can do is hope that they buff it at least a little bit. Either way, this is pretty much what you can expect mechanically speaking, so it should be nice. I've decided to wait on the new and in-depth raid and boss guides because I want to make them with the closest to the final form as these raids are going to be. So like whatever Blizzard's going to come out with this new version of them, and they're probably going to tune them again afterwards, I think. But either way, I'll have footage from all. So whatever we know is the final one, that's what I'll make like the in-depth, you know, different like point of views and like all the cool raid guide ones. Okay. So instead, this time I'm just going to go over each boss and give a brief overview of the fight, how it felt at the current state, how much damage the abilities were doing at the time, and what they can maybe change, and anything else I noticed about the raid. Starting with Illidan. The logs for this raid will also be in the descriptions as well. We're going to do things a little bit different here and start with Illidan. You know why? Because why not? Because he's the coolest guy in all the lore, right? I guess besides this ultimate Chad, but I digress. We are not in the future. We are in the now, and the now is Illidan. Okay, so here he is. So the first thing we can talk about is what you will have to handle no matter what the tuning is. A lot like Leotheris the Blind in SSC, you're going to need another Warlock Tank. However, this time with shadow resistance. Here's what I was wearing on it, and there will be a link to this in the description as well. Note that these shadow res pieces you won't be able to use on the first kill of Illidan. Your Warlock will need to obtain some shadow resistances from other sources since it won't be able to craft these in time. I'll have a video on that on my channel in the near future. It'll be out before launch. Anyways, I decided 275 unbuffed was good enough for the PTR to test it out. I made sure to get some hit trinkets and some hit rings to make up for the severe lack of hit I have and just spam those shadow bolts.
Look at this idiot. Look at him. Look at this absolute bum spamming immolates. Haha, dumbass. He thinks he's pressing searing pain.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, okay? Anyways, as you can see from the clip, he's hitting me for about 4K-ish, so it's not insane. And if the difficulty were to remain as so, I'd even go lower on the shadow resistance. But until we see the next tuning, I'll remain at a comfy 275 unbuffed. I'll go over what I do in this phase right now, and then when we get to the actual part in this video, I can show you from a different perspective, like what the raid's doing. So TLDR, Illidan gets pissed off that you're stomping him the out and goes into demon form. Notice where it says increases physical damage dealt by 500%? Yeah, that's the reason why you need a Warlock. Well, any range DPS really can do it, but you know, Warlocks are really good at it due to how tanky we are from our talents, as well as Fell Armor, which increases the amount of heals, yada, yada, yada. You already know we're the best range class in the game. Anyway, so pick out your unlucky Warlock, have him click off Salvation, spam some Searing Pains until he has some threat, and then Shadow Bolt to victory. Well, that's all for the Warlock tank. Let's talk about your actual tanks. And for this, you're going to actually need 3 tanks total. 2 of them are going to need fire resistance for phase 2. Our tanks last night went to about 300 unbuffed, okay? And you're going to need this because they're going to have to fight, as you will see in a little bit, 2 big-ass fire elementals that do a ton of damage. It was actually the one part of the phase that felt perfect. More on that when we get there. Okay, now from the beginning, starting with phase 1, which has never been a super intricate phase. There's not a lot of damage going out at all, and the only thing that really needed to worry about was your tank mitigating the shear while making sure that he faces the boss away from the raid due to draw soul, which really only did about 17,000 damage throughout the entire fight, which is in my opinion very low. Also extremely low on the damage is Flame Crash. It was doing about 3k a tick every like 3 seconds or something crazy like that. In my opinion, it's not a big deal that this damage is that low because nobody really tends to get hit by this fire since there's so much room to work with. And lastly, in phase 1, to quickly touch on, is the parasites. The parasites were, well, tiny things with virtually no health, and they die pretty fast. We'd usually put a frost trap down and have whoever gets the parasite to run to the frost trap and dump them on the trap, but to be honest, they died so fast that I dare say the trap isn't even needed. They pop out, then a hunter would turn around and pop them, or a mage would Kona Cold it, and they're done. It'd be really interesting to see if Blizzard made these more troublesome. At least enough to make us have to slow them, or doubling their health pool or something like that would be pretty cool. That's pretty much it for phase 1. On to the fun phase. Without going too deep into instruction here, this was the most hectic part of the fight for us. I'll attribute that to our 2 fire res tanks, for this is their first time being in here, because once they got it down, it was pretty smooth. I forgot to mention that he just sits in the air and throws these fireballs down at you too, which is why we see us split in groups. And this is actually a lot of damage. This is actually doing a decent amount of damage. Look, where I didn't have to tap and stuff. So good job on that. Anyway, slap that fire res gear on. Each of you pick up an ad and do the dance. The dance meaning this little back and forth dance the tanks must do, while staying tethered to the glaives that Illidan threw down on the ground. Because if you don't, you get Uncaged Wrath, which is more or less an immediate wipe, and will probably wipe guilds the most. Do this all by making sure to tank them facing away from the raid at all times due to Flame Blast still absolutely devouring anybody in its path. It was quite funny to see who the DPS or the healers who didn't move out fast enough just get enveloped by the flames. Oh, also, while we're here, healers watch out for healing aggro. Really heavy here, especially priests with Circle of Healing. Very, very good fight for it. Meanwhile, you got Illidan being an asshole, throwing fireballs at anybody from the air for about 3k each. He does have another ability called Dark Barrage that on private servers used to absolutely delete characters and send them back to the login screen. But however, it didn't seem to be working last night. It was only hitting 1 person per attempt. However, it was doing 12k to that 1 person. So without heals, that might kill somebody. It'd be nice to see if this hit a few people so it can add just a tiny bit more spiciness to an already hectic phase. But you know me, that's just me. I'm sweaty. Lastly, pretty much the dopest thing is Illidan's I-beam, or I guess I should say the lack thereof an I-beam, because he didn't have an I-beam once. I'm not sure why. I was thinking maybe it might have been a private server thing, but maybe Blizzard's just messing with our emotions. I don't know. You guys let me know. The rest of the fight after that was pretty smooth sailing, with phase 3 being more or less the same as phase 1, with the addition of agonizing flames, which you have to spread for, otherwise some unnecessary AoE will arise. After 60 seconds, phase 4 will begin, and that's the demon phase. Since we already talked about what the Warlock Tank will be doing, let's briefly go over what the rest of the raid should be worried about, and that's ultra nuking the shadow demons that come out. They must die before they reach their fixated target, or the target dies. Also, whoever is fixated literally cannot move or cast. Here's a clip of me getting it.
Oh, it's my freaking demon. I can't. You can't move when you do it. You can't move when you're focused, yeah.
Something you can quickly learn from watching this clip is I'm standing too close to the boss. Yes, I'm stunned, but as you see from where I'm actually tanking him in the next clip, you shouldn't be this close to the boss. Just a little heads up. You want to be further back so this doesn't happen. Now you know. Since now you know where not to stand if you're the Warlock Tank, stand back, you pump, the raid nukes down the shadow demons. 30 seconds of this and you'll be back into the previous phase. Just go ahead and go back and forth and from phase 3 to phase 4 until you get him down to 30%, where he will soft rage, which buffs Illidan's attack speed and his damage, making him chunk you even more. And just in case you're struggling with him, you can bring him to the trap towards the end. But to be honest, unless Blizzard tweaks with our boy Illidan, it looks like he's the one who's not prepared. Or are we over prepared? Or is he over easy? You know what? I need to sleep. I'll see you guys in the morning for the next boss.
Peace.